You're on Stat News Global. I'm Nitin Gokhale, and with me today is Indonesia's Ambassador Ina Krisnamurthi. She's been at the forefront of taking the India-Indonesia bilateral relationship higher than ever before. And of course, a very familiar face in Delhi's diplomatic circuit, as well as with the Ministry of External Affairs and the other government relationship that she sort of maintains on behalf of Indonesia. So welcome to this conversation and thank you for your time.
It's an honor and pleasure, Nitinji. To be back to Strat News is always an honor and pleasure.
We are also very privileged that you are the one of the rare diplomats who readily give interviews, and therefore let me be absolutely on point and ask you. We just had your president coming and visiting and being the guest of honor at the Republic Day. That, of course, is one of the highlights of maybe 2025. But how do you see this visit has gone, and what are the main takeaways from this visit?
Okay. First and foremost, thank you to India, the government and the people, because of you all. The visit was successful. In a way of historical visit in so many levels. First, it's our 75th anniversary of bilateral. It is the 76 years of Republic Day. The first chief guest is Indonesia's president, and celebrating 75th bilateral is Indonesia president again. It's like if it is a cake, it's a cherry on top because
Absolutely.
because in 2024 we celebrate the Act East policy. So in 2024, so many visits, inbound and outbound. PM Modi ji also visited the ASEAN countries. So for us, we feel honored and truly humble with the treatment and his hospitality. And on top of it, for the first time in the history, Indonesia march, the troops and cadets march with the parade, 352 to be exact. And that's, again, historical. So I think in all levels, it's historical. When we talk about outcomes, it's also historical. If you see the 5 MoUs and also the engagement at the business level, be it a CEO forum or the business matching business forum, it's also historical because what we talk about, it's beyond the past spectrum. We talk about, for the first time, the new frontier, which is AI. Digital, yes, of course, but it's the basic or the foundation of AI. We talk about expanding the trade and investment sectors. So it is very interesting to understand that the visit is a new frontier in a way of my job, my work as ambassador here. I've been here, I'm entering my 4th year. Never before I see such a variety of new issues to be discussed. And my last point of achievements is talking about ourselves, the embassy. Can you imagine during 3 years that I've been here, 2 presidents came.
Yes.
So in a way of engagements of 2 countries, that I think those are achievements in itself, right?
Absolutely.
And it lies the challenge and potentials of the future, which is follow through of both visits. So we look forward for the follow up and follow through in the next months or years.
Yes, exactly. No, I think you've been, like I said, that's why I said at the beginning that you are at the forefront of this relationship being taken to the next level or higher level. India and Indonesia are 2 of the largest growing economies, fastest growing economies in that sense. And you spoke about trade and investment, bilateral investments, maybe trade. On that front, where do you see this trade relationship going? We'll come to ASEAN as a whole a little later. But bilaterally, what are the areas that one can have investments, one can have trade? Any particular areas that you're looking at?
Like I said, the new frontier,
Frontiers, of course.
it's very important.
Right.
And the current president, President Prabowo, have lined up all priorities that he wants to do. The first is, of course, food security. The second is energy security. And the third is health.
Right.
So in these three, new, I think, because we haven't done it in the past on food security, energy security, and health in a way that he wants. This is new for us at the embassy and as me as the ambassador. So I think that these three focus of President Prabowo is the future of our relations. On food security, again, back to what I said about New Frontier, you are the champion of digitalization. We can mention about digital mapping. We can mention about healthy meals a day. We can mention many things. And energy security, you have solar energy plantation. One of the biggest in the world. So we need to learn a lot from you. And whole sector, on health sector, during the G20 meeting, even my president, the current one is very blunt. He will say whatever he thinks. So during the meeting with PM Modi ji, my president said that we are lacking of 160,000. It's 160,000 doctors and nurses. So he said again and again, we need your help. We need India's help as the pharma of the world. So, like I said, this never happened before. That is why I said it's new frontier in a way, in a way of how to approach this.
Absolutely.
We have challenges in terms of governance, and I believe after he just finished the 100 days. President Prabowo. So after 100 days, maybe he will find out what to do in terms of managing challenges inside domestically. So hopefully I will have a more clear directive as to how to move forward from there.
So I can clearly see from what you outlined just now that there are a lot of opportunities for Indians to not only invest but also send skilled manpower in these sectors, also have bilateral trade in these sectors.
But trade not in like the past, you know, the past is more focused on commodities.
Yes. Not in that sense, but say pharma, health workers, health equipment, all that can now become part of the new frontier as you've called it. So that's excellent to understand. And actually, if you look at the distance between India and Indonesia, it's we are the closest neighbor. And if you go down, we met last in December in Port Blair. From there, I think the northernmost tip of Indonesia is barely 80 nautical miles or something of that kind. So actually, we are very close neighbors, maritime neighbors. So in that context, let me ask you about Indonesia as a leading player in ASEAN, which India also wants to have very good relations with. So how are you playing a role there as a leader, one of the largest countries in ASEAN?
I think without Indonesia being a leader or part of ASEAN, is like you said, we're factually, geographically, by distance, we are close. Unfortunately, I have to tell you this, Nitinji. I think I told you this, that not many people know that India is our neighbor.
Right.
You know, you need to build awareness again and again, although we have already 75 years of diplomatic relations, but the knowledge of being neighboring country is not there yet at the level of what I want. So I think what we want to achieve in ASEAN India currently is already very apparent. First, the visits are there. The new PM of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, visited India, one of his first state visit. President Prabowo is one of his first state visit. So it shows how India important to ASEAN, to the new leaders of ASEAN. So, second, you need to also understand that with the Act East policy, I think India is one of, with the pace and speed that we have, India is one of the most vibrant partner of ASEAN, because now 30 years, I think, partnership in
Right.
2020.
Yes.
2023, Indonesia is the chair. We establish you as comprehensive strategic partner of ASEAN.
Yes.
How to implement that? Again, many homeworks on both sides, but we are so looking forward of more vibrant and more vigorous relationship in a way of ASEAN-India, because, like I said, India is one of the most fastest growing partner of ASEAN. 30 years, and then yet already CSP. I think one of the fastest.
Absolutely. You know, ASEAN is India's priority also, like the Act East policy. So you're right, absolutely on that. I need to take a break, but don't go away. I'm in conversation with Indonesia's ambassador to India, Ina Krisnamurthi. And we'll come back with more facets of the bilateral as well as the global aspects of the relationship. Don't go away. Welcome back. I am in conversation with Indonesia's ambassador, Ina Krisnamurthi, on not only on the Indonesian president's recent visit to India, but also overall relationship and, of course, where it is headed, and global developments in the international and foreign relations. So we spoke about ASEAN, we spoke about India, Indonesia in the beginning. Indonesia, like India, is actually a huge maritime nation. And yet, taking off from what we were discussing off camera, the awareness about each other's countries. In India, awareness about Indonesia is little less than, say, it is about other countries in the neighborhood. I don't know what the situation is in Indonesia about India. How can we improve that awareness about each other?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest homework when I first started my post here. The awareness of neighboring countries beyond ASEAN, Australia, New Zealand, or Oceania.
Right.
Like I said, the issue of Sabang, for example, and Andaman Nicobar was not understood at the level of decision making or even by the businesses.
Sure.
That also important to approach it through plurilateral effort, multilateral effort. Like, for example, during our Secretary Generalship for IORA, even we talk about also engagement on maritime. Three of us, Australia, India, Indonesia, is the key player in IORA.
Absolutely.
And to engage more with decision makers, with businesses on maritime issues, also need to be done through that kind of forum, not only bilateral. And thirdly, when we talk about ASEAN India, we also talk more to economy rather than focusing on the engagement beyond.
Sure.
For example, you introduce IPOI. during EAS summit in 2019.
Right.
Before that, Indonesia introduced AOIP
Exactly.
in the same year.
Right.
But it stops there.
Yes.
So when you celebrate Act East policy, we also engage with all think tanks in injecting the understanding of neighboring countries, including Indonesia. And interestingly, Thailand ambassador is also trying again and again through different focus of thinking. For example, textile motif or similarities, commonalities through culture. So these efforts are like pieces of puzzles, which, of course, both of us, you're the media, you're one of the biggest, I think, decision or public opinion making.
Well, thank you.
It's important for us, the policy makers, to also engage with the media to understand the weight and substance of maritime issues when we talk about ASEAN and India, not only about Indonesia and India. Thirdly, I believe that the P2P is very lacking in a way of Indonesia. I don't want to talk about Thailand and Vietnam because they are more active in air connectivity, let alone Singapore. But the direct connectivity, for example, we always think about the farthest point, which is Delhi and Jakarta.
Right.
Up until now, there is none.
No, exactly. True.
But at the same time, we forgot about maritime connectivity.
Exactly.
Which started since 1,000 years ago, which is Gujarat and Jakarta, Port, Batavia, and Gujarat to Eastern, which is Moluccas. So in a way of understanding, be it political, defense, and more importantly, P2P, I think some sort of a misunderstanding.
Lack of understanding.
But misunderstanding as well, because the misunderstanding is there because Delhi and Jakarta is farther.
Farther, yeah. That's true.
But not.
It's in the mind.
In the mind. Yes. But they forgot that Sabang, the northern tip of Sumatra, and the outer tip of India is very close.
Very close. So,
if we can establish some sort of connectivity, maritime or air, that would be great.
So, so that gives me a cue to ask you what's happening on the Sabang port infrastructure project.
Okay, we thank Indian government for their continuous effort, especially in establishing the study for building a port, viable and more efficient port, international port that is. But unfortunately, like India, we are very vibrant in democracy. Our elections at the provincial level are very vibrant, and many happens in 2024.
Right.
The last one of the last one was in November, which is also Aceh. So currently, the governor, not yet been inaugurated by President Prabowo. I heard that hopefully by this year the new government will be inaugurated. So we hope for the best that the effort between the two countries will continue on.
Sure. In fact, that is the hope, because that has a lot of potential. But we will move on from there. You spoke about P2P, and there is a civilizational connect that we forget between India and Indonesia. On that front, probably, that can spur more people-to-people connect. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, yes, but I think beyond that, it's more important. The understanding of, like, for example, I have a very infamous quote that people always smirking at me, because I said, please don't focus on the past. Please focus on the future. But that leaves people, why? But I think it's just like a car. Right. The past is the rear view mirror.
Yes.
the future is the way the car should go.
Sure.
Ramayana, yes. Mahabharata, yes. The Sanskrit language is also there. Even my name, my last name is also Sanskrit.
Yes.
But we need to move beyond that. The P2P that I'm talking about always, again, in line with the president and also the previous president, food security, energy security, and the health.
Absolutely.
The health, we established what we call sister hospital, which is more onto how to connect our doctors, your doctors, our nurse, your nurse, the education.
Right.
Food security, farmers and farmers, start up of agriculture.
Sure.
Energy security, you have amazing efforts and governance and when it comes to energy security. So that way we elevate the P2P, the P2P movement.
Absolutely.
And the direct connectivity helps, but we need more.
Of course, you need more because the other aspect that we tend to not take it as seriously, at least I don't take it as seriously, but I think the best potential is in tourism. From India to Indonesia and from Indonesia to India. I think that itself, more and more Indians are now outbound tourists. So that can also be one of the key growth areas going forward.
Yeah, but on that note, we need to move again beyond Ramayana and Mahabharata.
The modern thing, I mean,
because health tourism is also important.
Exactly.
Like for
adventure tourism, I think.
Adventure tourism. And for the first time, can you imagine, Indonesia has a temple, Buddhist temple in Bodh Gaya.
There you are.
And since 2023 December, our pilgrim visited India more than 200, 300. That's a lot for Indonesia, right? So that's also important, right? Religion-based tourism. So this discussion or discourse needs to be again, as a proliferated to everyone, anyone, and you're the best partner for because you are from media.
We are always doing that, trying to do it all the time. But one final thought on Indonesia was an immediate preceding chair of G20. India was hosting G20 in 2024, and then you had the previous year. So, how do you see the governance and the global role that India and Indonesia can play, either separately or jointly?
Before I answer the question of G20, my president also said this over and over again during his visit to say thank you to India for making us the member of BRICS. Without India's help, we will be on the queue together with other ASEAN countries. And everyone questioned, how come Indonesia become so fast?
Yes.
No need to queue.
Right. I was in Kazan, in fact, when that happened.
Yes. So again, without a doubt, India's role in making us a member in very short period of time is very commendable. On G20, I think what we want to see for G20 and any other bilateral, including BRICS, is how we need to focus on what needs to be done when it comes to development.
Sure.
Like, for example, on climate change. Developed countries need to, again, focus on what they can do to developing country by not stopping us developing or emerging economies to move away from development and focusing on only climate change.
Absolutely.
Second, we also need to figure out how these engagements of leaders, understanding that leaders are there to decide, but how to make sure the follow-up, the follow-through happen is also another big homework for everyone. For G20, I believe what India has done I think during my interview with Strat News also, I said it, that what India has achieved during the presidency is to make grassroots issues become the leaders' issues, not only talking about clouds issues, issues on the clouds, but talking about women development, about how women drive the development and so forth. But we need to again see how countries can answer or give answers to their own constituents. What is the importance of such engagements? Like, for example, South Africa, I think they are doing it, with the basic knowledge of what is happening in Africa, and we need to see how South Africa maneuver and at the same time advance the discussion that you have started or Indonesia has started. Bearing in mind the geopolitical spectrum is also very challenging.
True.
Very challenging.
Absolutely. No, I think you put it in the correct framework, what G20 was all about. But I missed out on one thing, and that's my last question to you on India-Indonesia defense partnership. I think that also has a lot of potential.
Yes, I believe yes. And more importantly, my president was Minister of Defense in the past.
Correct.
So a lot of discussion, be it one-on-one between the president with Prime Minister Modi ji and my president with President Murmu. They also talk about that. And the future of what I said, the new frontier is also on defense engagement, more into how we see India as a strong partner. And also because you have done tremendously when it comes to shipping and shipyard, and also the maintenance of plane, aircrafts. In that way, you are one of the champion in value chain, in the global value chain.
Right.
But again, with the current geopolitical spectrum, both countries need to discuss beyond the collaboration of industries of defense.
Great. Thank you, Ambassador, for such a wonderful, candid interaction and insights into where we are headed as far as the two countries are concerned. Always a pleasure for Strat News Global to interview you, have a conversation with you rather than interview.
Thank you.
And we'll continue to look forward to such frequent, timely interactions going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin.
Thank you. Do keep watching Strat News Global, and we'll bring to you such wonderful interactions and insights from important diplomats and ambassadors. You know where to subscribe to our channel, and of course, your comments are always very useful. Your feedback is important for us. So do keep sending those comments. For the time being, it's goodbye.